Listen to my podcast about sports.
Howdy, Ags, from the Tailgate, home of Aggie Football, coach and the delivery man. Brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams, custom home builders with over 15 years of experience in the Brazos Valley. If you're looking for someone that cares about you and the details that you care about, contact Frida Homes. Visit them on Instagram at frida.homes or give Justin a call at 979-450-4466. When you call, just remember, everyone loves their Frida Homes. Folks, don't forget to email us, agstailgate@gmail.com. Visit us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. See us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, etc., etc., etc. Leave us some commentary. We'll get your name out there. Let's start off with a little comment from Ram.
Ram always making comments to me at work. Posted a little something. What did he say? He
said, "Hey, great episode. Keep it up.
Keep it up.
Keep it up."
All right.
we're
not doing to talk about right now, Ram. We're just kind of playing as we go. We're just making this up as we go. But here we go.
Yeah, it's and that's a very good point, right? Not a lot going on right now in the football world. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to obviously spring and all that happening, and we'll announce some dates with regards to spring practice and how things are going to start up and all those kinds of things. But right now we're sort of just going to do a little BSing today.
A lot of it, and y'all know us. We're good at that.
We are going to get into some way too early predictions for this Texas A&M football team in 2023 today. But let's start off with a little bit of Aggie basketball. 15-6 overall, 7-1 in conference. So they beat Vandy on Saturday, 72-66. Struggled a little bit in this game.
Yeah, they did.
Really didn't shoot the ball very well. Coleman led this team with 18 points. Taylor and Boots both had 14, but they didn't shoot very well. They won, though.
They did win, and Vanderbilt was outmatched. Vanderbilt was missing two of their big guys, probably their best player in Robbins. Marble had an off game, fouled out. They didn't hit the free throws like they normally do. They got to the line a lot, but missed a lot of front ends and ones and ones.
Yeah.
They took the lead by 11, I think it was, in the second half. And they were definitely a dominant team in the second half, and Vandy came back down.
It felt like they came out in the game in a place where maybe they were a little too comfortable against this Vandy team that shows up and wasn't, very highly regarded. And second half came out and sort of just did what the Aggies do, right?
Yeah, they did do.
This is pretty big, though, because of the fact that this team cannot afford, because of their losses in the non-conference.
Right. Wofford, Murray State.
Right. They cannot afford to have any losses to teams that they should beat in the SEC. They've got to still go. I mean, right now at 15 overall wins, they probably still got to get 7 wins in this. 6 at the least in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
So they still got games against Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. They can't afford to lose those games.
Right. No.
And then they have to go beat Arkansas. They have to go beat Mississippi State, maybe Auburn, to get those wins where they need to be. A game we talked about is Tennessee. I think Tennessee right now has shown they may be the best team in the SEC, even better than Alabama.
They're number 2 in the nation right now in the polls.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Alabama really doesn't even show up for that game at Oklahoma.
Well, the Big 12 SEC matchup, I don't know if you had a list to talk about, but SEC got dominated. They lost out of 10 games. They lost 7.
Yeah,
and so SEC lost 7 games. Alabama got killed.
One of the losses was TCU without their best player, right?
Yeah, TCU lost their best player. They lost to Mississippi State, and Mississippi State's not a bad team. I just don't think if TCU's at full strength that Mississippi State, and that game went to overtime.
This team's got a lot of work to do, starting with tomorrow playing Arkansas.
Yeah.
And
in Arkansas,
and they get Arkansas later on. Arkansas may be the team that sort of pushes us one way or the other. If you can win both of those games, you've got and the ones that we talked about, that not losing, and then you've got a chance. If you can't, you're going to have to find a win somewhere out there with Mississippi State, maybe in Alabama at the end of the season. So it's pretty big. Obviously, Auburn is a team that you're going to have to beat at home, right?
Yeah.
So this Arkansas game all of a sudden becomes pretty big. for this A&M team to get into the tournament, right?
That Arkansas team, if you watched A&M's foes, Arkansas is a lot different than all of them. They don't shoot the ball as well from the outside, but they're very, very athletic. They've got a bunch of pro prospects on their team, young team, but their guards are 6'6", 6'7", athletic.
Lots of length.
Yeah, a lot of
athleticism.
length. I think we're going to have a hard time rebounding like we have been in the past. And they got a couple big guys in the middle that are going to get the ball. But if we play our game and we hit our shots, that's a big thing. Is hitting our shots, getting open shots, Boots taking the ball to the rim, getting these guys in foul trouble because they will get in foul trouble. Arkansas has shown that they will get in foul trouble.
I think generally they have to continue to be aggressive, especially Boots. Taking the ball inside. They're at best when they're playing inside out, right?
Right.
That team, and I guess you could say that about most teams in college basketball, right? But this Aggie team specifically on offense, I think that's where their strengths are. Whenever they really get to the free throw line, so they're being aggressive, they're getting fouled, they're doing those things because they're not pure shot makers, right?
No.
There's not really a pure 3-point shooter out there. I mean, Taylor can get hot, Boots can get hot, different guys can get hot.
Can get hot.
Dennis Dexter, right? Dexter Dennis can get hot, things like that. But none of them are just a pure shooter.
No, they're not going to create their own shots either. They're not one of those guys who'll make a couple moves and go up. It's going to have to be
throw step back three down. That's definitely not it.
No,
that is definitely not it. So they're going to have to continue to be aggressive, and I think that's going to be the point of emphasis for this team. Not only aggressive in driving the ball, but aggressive on the boards too. Right. The situations when we've talked about this last week. That they end up having issues is when they're giving up a ton of second chance points,
right,
and the turnovers.
Right, turnovers. Wade Taylor's been crazy with those turnovers. He's not shooting the ball as well from the field. Made all his free throws. He went 7 for 7 from the line, but 3 for 13 or something like that from the field. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
And he, and Buzz was benching him quite a bit to put Gordon in because the turnovers are killing us.
And that's the one thing you get. It is good to have Andre Gordon on this team, a guy that's played a ton of minutes for this Aggie basketball program, right?
Right.
And he understands the effort that it takes, especially on the defensive end, and that Buzz expects from him on that side of the ball. And I think it's a great place to be, to have him coming off the bench for this team, especially in games where, like you said, Wade Taylor sort of turning the ball over, doing some things that he's not supposed to be.
And a quick thing, they're saying Manning's supposed to be coming back. Obaseki?
Yeah.
Supposed to be coming back. How's that going to affect the team that's playing well right now? I think we're, 8-1 in our last 9 games or something like that. We've just only lost it to Kentucky.
Yeah. Who's playing pretty well right now.
Yeah. How's that going to affect the team chemistry when he comes back? How's he going to get in the lineup? Do you put him in the lineup? I mean, do you mess with what's
I'll tell you this: if we have any sort of idea that we want to make a run in the tournament, I think Manny has to be a part of that.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially what I saw from him last year. I haven't seen a lot this year from him, but I know what he brings. High energy guy.
Correct.
Attack the rim. Athletic. He's
one of our most athletic guys.
Yeah, if not the most athletic. Yeah.
And with length and size too, right? I mean, he's longer than a guy like Boots, for example.
And that's what I was about to say. He's a little bit bigger version of Boots if he could play under control more.
Right.
That's the problem I see with Obaseki. You get him and Taylor on the court, how many turnovers are you going to have?
Whew. Either way, look, this team is right now. Are they right where they want to be? No, because of the non-conference, right? They're not exactly where they would like to be at this point in the season, but they're playing. They're playing as good a basketball as probably most teams in the SEC. They can continue to run and play with most of these teams.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to, right?
Right, absolutely.
Period. A little NFL.
Yeah.
So this weekend we had the conference championship games.
Yep.
Eagles beat the San Francisco 49ers 31-7. Look,
Called
the 49ers. Yeah, the 49ers lose their quarterback in the first quarter, and then their backup quarterback goes down in the second quarter.
It was ugly.
It was pretty bad, right?
It was
in the third quarter, I think the backup quarterback.
I talked to my dad during that game. He's like, "This is the most boring game I've ever watched in a playoff game," because it was just, you knew what the 49ers were doing. It felt bad because they couldn't. Purdy could not throw the ball.
No.
And they came out today and said he had a UCL injury or something.
And here's the thing, right? I was a little surprised because after the injury to both quarterbacks, they threw the ball one time. It was a screen by Purdy.
Yeah.
Right? And I was a little surprised, especially because Shanahan's known as this super genius, right?
Yeah.
That they didn't turn to some sort of wildcat situation. They kept talking about whether McCaffrey would take some snaps at quarterback. Even with the fullback, they could have done some things there because he still could run the football. You got Deebo Samuels as another weapon doing some, and you could have done some misdirection.
They did some misdirections, but
But with Purdy at the quarterback spot.
But you got 11 guys up in the box almost. I'm talking
an injured Purdy in the box at quarterback that they knew he wasn't going to run either.
Right. Yeah.
So he wasn't a threat to run or pass. And I thought that one of those other guys would at least be a threat to run and force you to take a little bit more. It
was terrible coaching. I think he's on his way out now. That's it.
Either way, the Eagles looked pretty good. I think they came out and dominated that 49ers team. Even offensively, they moved the ball. They moved the ball on the 49ers, and then they pulled off in the second half. Right? They understood where this game was. They just didn't want to turn the ball over. They wanted to take time, and they just wanted to finish.
Well, the score was 7-7 with 2 minutes left to go 3 minutes left to go in the first half.
Right.
And
then they caused this turnover when they injured Purdy, right? They caused that turnover, that fumble.
Yeah, and then same thing with Josh Johnson. Happened a little bit later.
So
Johnson just missed that snap. That's what killed him. It was 14-7. Johnson fumbles a snap. Eagles get on it, score another touchdown for half, and that's pretty much it.
And that was pretty much it. Bengals lose to the Chiefs 23-20 in Kansas City. And look, this game was a lot better game one because it was competitive, but at the same time, it was a little sloppy. Neither one of those two offenses really got going great.
No.
And then at the end, probably looking at overtime, and then all of a sudden,
dumbass hit
a really bad personal foul penalty that puts them in the field goal range, right? In conditions that they couldn't have kicked the field they weren't going to kick a 60, 65 yard or a 55 yarder, right?
Ball. Balls get hard, don't they? Everything up.
So they were talking about the long field goals all game. Neither one of these guys really hit anything in pregame past 50 yards. So, they had to get a good, that penalty in order to get into the range, and they end up winning. And the Chiefs take advantage of it. Good for them. Mahomes was clearly hurt, but still, did his thing and made some plays. I was impressed in the fact that they kept talking about how many of the receivers were out and this and that, but I was impressed with the guys that were there. Playing hard, making some plays, and doing some things.
Even Kelsey, he showed up, man. Kelsey seemed like every time he turned around, he's open. How does he get so open all the time?
Especially when all their receivers are hurt, right?
Yeah.
How's that?
Kelsey's hurt. He had a back problem. He couldn't.
So the Super Bowl now, Eagles-Chiefs. Eagles come out as a 2-point favorite in this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you surprised?
A little bit. I think the Chiefs will have 2 weeks to get healthy. I think it's going to be big. Andy Reid. I'd take the points. I'd take the Chiefs in the points right now.
I also think
that defense of the Chiefs look pretty good.
Yeah, and I also think that as the news comes out of, Mahomes feeling better and this and that line will move quite a bit.
Right.
It'll give you some opportunity to get on either side if you want it, whichever side you like. Just
find who do you like?
I still think that I like the Eagles' defense so much better.
Okay.
I do. I'm gonna probably take I would probably take the Eagles, but
I just have a hard time betting against. Pat Mahomes he's proved me wrong a lot.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has proved a lot of people wrong in a lot of ways, right?
I think Hurts' shoulder's still messed up. I watched some of those throws he made.
He's not 100%.
No, because Smith made a hell of a catch. I don't know if you saw that catch down the sideline. That was a hell of a catch. But he missed some throws. Some of them seemed short. The receivers caught them, but they were wide open receivers. He was throwing it at their feet.
He seemed to be throwing at a little short for a lot of the game. I don't know that like
and
you
a
said,
shoulder
he's
injury
not
is something
yet.
you got to.
Right.
Ankle injury is one thing. Shoulder injuries, it's just different.
I got to give it a little bit more time. The reason I sort of lean Eagles right now is more defense, right? I think if you look at the secondary, the Eagles have a lot more weapons there. If you look up front, the Eagles have a lot more weapons up front. Hassan Reddick's been absolutely phenomenal.
Been huge.
You saw some of Ndamukong Suh play and make some plays the other day. Obviously, they got Cox. They got all the other guys Davis out of Georgia from this past year.
Right.
You know, all these guys, and they got rotation up front. And I think that's to me the difference between these two teams. I think both offenses have the opportunity to be explosive and good. I did like that I saw from Kansas City that they actually went down the field a couple more times this past week, even with their receivers hurt.
Right.
I thought they actually did some
Valdez,
things there.
Scanlon,
Yeah.
deep, yeah.
So, you know, maybe that's something that they're
Tourney.
bringing.
It's things we talked about the week before that you weren't seeing. You're like, they're not going downfield. And
Yeah.
they did this week, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I'm excited for that game. We'll talk more about it
All right.
as we get closer. The stage is set. We're counting down to the battle in Arizona. There's no better way to get ready for the NFL action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57.
57.
New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped up same-game parlays. Boost your Super Bowl 57 winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Look, you know me. There's nothing better than parlays and teasers.
There you go.
Add legs.
Yeah.
Do it like 6-teamers,
Do it.
8-teamers,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Likelihood of winning is really good. Really good.
I mean, it's
Like,
money in the bank. If you don't know who to take, call us.
we'll tell you.
Yeah.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TPPN.
There it is.
New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Guys, I also want to mention TPPN,
Yeah.
the Pigskin Podcast Network. Find us on their page as well. They've been they're a new partner here in what we're doing here at Ags Tailgate. So
Yep.
take a look at the things over there on TPPN.
There you go.
All right, let's talk a little college football, Corey,
Let's
because
do
that's what we're here to do.
That's what we're here. A lot going on.
A lot going on right now.
Going on.
News of Stetson Bennett get arrested with some public intoxication.
Go
What do you
get him,
think?
Stetson.
That a boy.
Yeah, I've been there.
I think I'm gonna raise his draft stock. because
Yeah,
of this.
I've been there.
You know,
Yep.
good for him. Celebrate a little bit of, you just won your second national championship.
Hey, does he have a
Very
lawyer?
big.
We know some lawyers.
We do.
By
By the way, show's brought to you
Oh.
by Great Propel. Great
Propel.
Yeah, amen.
delicious. I got berry, by the way. It's great. This is delicious.
Berry's delicious too.
Yeah.
Grape, delicious. Very delicious. All right, so little interesting news there with Stetson Bennett.
It
I don't
is.
think it's going to affect him much.
It's going to kill Georgia next year.
He'll be all right.
Yep, Georgia's on the way down.
It's happening. All right, way
It's happening. Yeah.
way too early Aggie predictions. And why is it way too early? Because there's still so much to happen from here to then.
Yep.
But let's start with the record.
Let's do it.
All right, so record prediction, starting big picture here.
All right.
What do you think? Record prediction.
Well, who we playing?
5-7 last year.
5-7.
5-7, 2022.
It's probably Jimbo's best coaching performance yet. 5-7.
5-7.
It was awful. I can't believe it. Lose to App State.
Down to South Carolina 17-0 with 3 minutes into the game.
That was awful. That still hurts to talk about that.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on.
That's too soon.
Listen, this team, we've talked about it since the season's ended. We've talked about all the different moves, the folks that they've lost to the transfer portal, the folks that they've brought in the transfer portal, guys that are staying, guys that are going, all those things, right? We've talked about the offense and the things that they need to do. We've talked about defense some. They've got talent.
Yeah.
Talent is there.
Talent was an issue last year.
Talent wasn't an issue. Youth was.
Youth. Okay.
Coaching was.
Well, we can make so many excuses.
For sure.
Yeah.
But now they've replaced the offensive coordinator, right? It isn't Jimbo calling the plays anymore. Now we've got an offensive coordinator that's dedicated to the offense, allows Jimbo to go be the CEO. That should help, right?
You think?
Should help. It should help with some of those issues in just game management,
Does
too.
he know what it means to be the CEO? The CEO doesn't sit behind the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks and say, this is what I'm... No. He's got to stand back, take a couple steps back and go, see the big picture. It's not just hey, Petrino, you and I need to talk about this the whole time. No, he's got to talk to the defensive coordinator, every position, offensive line coach, linebackers coach, whoever the hell that is. I mean, just different.
Look, and we've talked about it some, right? At the end of the day, if we watched them practice on multiple occasions last year, and it's always the same thing. He was basically just the quarterback coach.
Yeah.
Because he never left their side, and he was always on them 100% consistently throughout the entire practice. He was with them during individual drills. He was with them during group drills. He was with them during team drills. I think now he's got to learn how to separate himself from that. Spend some time there with, obviously, still seeing that group, seeing some other groups on offense, but going and spending some time with the defense. What are we doing here with our drills on the defensive side of the ball? How do we like the energy over there as well, right? Because he's part of the guy that's got to set the tone for the practices every time. And so I think he's got to be a lot more involved in everything else other than that quarterback position.
Right, I agree.
Take advantage of the fact that you got Petrino there.
But Kenny or Willie, that's the question.
That's the question.
Is he an old dog that can't learn new tricks? That's the thing. Can he go and be just the head coach and let Petrino call the plays? I mean, it's a big question mark.
He's got to figure out also, what sort of influence is he going to have on the defense this year? Because I think he's got to have some influence on the defense this year. Yeah. Make sure that these guys are not make sure that they're not sitting there and just all they want to do is three-man line like Durkin likes to do, right? That's rule number one.
That's the kind of stuff a head coach needs to do. He needs to be in Durkin's ear at spring practice going, we're not doing that. Hell no. We're not three-man line?
Yeah,
no.
That might be a little change of pace and for a couple plays a game, but that is not
hell no.
Your base, right?
Yeah, no, not doing that.
And so I think he does have to be involved in all that. Okay, but once again, we think this team is very talented. We believe that. We believe that bringing in Petrino, we don't love the hire, but we think it's still going to improve this offense substantially. The in-game management stuff, being able to save timeouts, to get the play in on time.
Exactly.
Which will help avoid some of these pre-snap penalties, including false starts and things by that offensive line that struggled last year. Right? So all those things you think makes them better. Now they were 5-7 last year. How much better? That's the question. Where does this get to you?
You and I talked a couple weeks ago about what we think they'll average a game. We said around 30 points a game, right?
I think 30-something, 32, 30.
Well, let's say the top teams last year, three of the top teams averaged over 40. That's Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
That's the top of the top.
Now, the bottom teams were in the low 20s. That's A&M, Kentucky's. If we score 30 points a game and then our defense keeps them at the low 20s, you just do the math. We got to be 6-6. I don't know. I don't want to be too optimistic.
Corey, I really thought you were going to go a little bit higher than that. I thought you were about to go 10 wins myself.
I'm not going that. No, I'm not.
10 wins? 10 wins? Yes or no?
No.
Look, I think 8-4.
Okay.
Why do I look? 8-4 is 3 games better than last year. 8-4 because that's what Jimbo does. Is 8-4.
We lost to App State last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not very optimistic this year. And we have the same offensive line coming back, which they should be better.
Yeah.
But it's the same offensive line. We got the same defensive coordinator. We got the same head coach. Do you understand what I'm saying here? We got the same. Did we fix our problems? We have great players, I think. We had the same offensive line coach. We have, and that's what makes me nervous.
I'll say this, and I'm going to go 8-4, but let's go into this schedule a little bit better so that we can really talk about some of these things in specific, right? Yeah. So think about this. As you look at the schedule today, non-conference, you've got New Mexico, Miami, ULM, and ACU. Abilene Christian,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Those 4 games last year, we lost to App State.
Well, ULM's an App State type of team.
Those 4 games, I think, are wins for this team. I think those are.
We said that last year with that.
Sure. Did we expect?
We were
to lose
worried
to
about
App
the
State?
Miami game last year. That's what we were talking about. Miami, maybe.
They may be the worst team out of the non-conference teams.
Miami and Abilene Christian might be a good game.
So I actually think I really believe that those 4 non-conference are wins.
Well,
I think we are sufficiently better to feel pretty comfortable about all 4 of those games.
last year we had A-Chain coming back. We had Anais coming back. We had Haynes King coming back off an injury. We had our right side of the offensive line coming back, plus our center, which was coming out. He was injured, but we had, a recruiting class #1 overall at defense, Jackson, players everywhere. We had, what's his name? Richardson. What's the other safety's name that's going to the pros?
Jalen Jones at cornerback.
Jalen Jones, but I'm talking about the safety.
Antonio
Johnson. Those are 3 names we just said: Richardson, Johnson, and Jones. They're not here.
Richardson's still here.
Oh, Damani. Okay, I'm sorry. Damani is here. That's a big one.
That is.
Jones and Johnson not here. I was hyped last year, and my expectations went from way up here to. So I want to set my expectations like right around here this year.
So are you setting an expectation where you're not going to win all 4 of those games? Is that what your expectation is?
Well, I mean, shit, it could happen. It happened last year.
I'm going to say we're going to win those 4 games. That's 4 wins to me.
I want to see dominant wins, not just 4 wins. I want to see I didn't see a dominant win.
I want to see dominant wins also. And you're right. We didn't do that last year.
I don't want to take our foot off the gas.
But mind you, we were 5-7, so there wasn't really a whole lot of opportunities for dominant wins.
There was a lot of opportunities. We just didn't take advantage of it.
So any other game there in the SEC that you say that's a win? 100% for sure that's a win.
We're playing Vanderbilt?
No.
Nope. I don't see any. That's for sure a win.
So we've talked about
a win. You're saying for sure. No, sure. Hands down.
Hands down. I'm going to go Mississippi State.
What's the Mike Leach thing?
I think them losing Mike Leach.
That's huge.
They're going to transition offensively. They hired the offensive coordinator from App State, mind you, to come and call the offense. But as you've pointed out, that offense and the players that they've recruited over the years is not necessarily built to then turn into that App State running offense, right? They're not in a position to do that yet. Mm-hmm. But App State also kind of spread it out and did some throw.
App State, they were pretty balanced actually if you look at their overall body of work. But what they did to us, it was a great game plan. They saw that we would not get out of the 3-man front, and they said, "Okay, we're going to go for it on 4th down." If we're within 3 yards or 2 yards, they get it
They understood a couple of things. One, they understood that they were outclassed talent-wise, right?
Yeah,
they understood
had to make the game ugly.
They had to shorten the game.
Yeah,
and they also understood exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to give you 3-man line with 2 linebackers, you just got to run
the math. I mean, if you're getting 3 yards every play and you get 4 downs,
but that's not what he normally does. So maybe he does take this offense and does something with it. I do think that they're taking a step back. I also think, with Zach Arnett, who was the DC as the head coach, that philosophy may also change, right?
They might want to be more of a running team.
They're not going to, and they're not going to go for it, all over the place on 4th down. Yeah. They're not going to be as aggressive in those situations. I think that all of a sudden that takes a lot of their momentum away.
Mike Leach didn't get a lot of credit for it, but he was very analytical. I mean, he would think about where, hey, it's 4th and 1 on my own 30. I think I can get it. And he would do it.
I mean, that's not exactly what analytical means, but sure.
He would do the math. I mean, it's not so much he would think I'd get it. He would go for it on downs and do things that you didn't think you should do, and I bet it drove those fans crazy sometimes. Like,
oh yeah, I bet you they loved it though. It was exciting.
It's like us talking about Jimbo. It's 4th and 1 from the other team's 40. Let's go ahead and punt.
And let's punt, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that losing Leach puts them in a situation where I don't expect a ton from that team next year, in spite of the fact that they've got their quarterback back, and some good pieces, and that defense was actually pretty good last year and whatnot. But I do think that they take a step back, because I do believe that Mike Leach was the guy that organized that team. He was the guy that kept those guys on the rails. He's the guy that are off the rails, because they are off the rail kind of team. But whatever you want to call it, he was the structure, right?
He was.
And he's been proven to do that over and over again,
right,
anywhere he's been. And so This guy's a new head coach. He's going to have to figure out how to do all those things. I think they're going to take a step back. I'd take that as a win. Any other one of these teams, you're just going to say, hey, that should be a win.
I know we joked about it, but I really feel good about playing Alabama this year.
All right, let's put that on hold. Let's put that on hold. I thought you were going to go Auburn, maybe. I thought you were going to go Auburn, but we lost to Auburn last year. Mind you, Auburn, one of the worst.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I
said. We lost to Auburn last year. We beat LSU at home.
But we've lost to Mississippi State twice in a row. So
that was Leach.
Yeah.
I mean, Auburn's got a new coach. I like the Hugh Freeze hire.
Look, Hugh Freeze is another guy with history there. Obviously,
you give Hugh Freeze talent, he'll do something with it. I mean, look what he did at Liberty.
Now we don't know if they got a ton of talent at Auburn right now.
Yeah, they got enough.
But they're gonna get better as long as things go forward.
Right.
Hugh Freeze is not afraid to pay some players. So
no, he's not afraid to pay them, and he'll get the most out of them too. He does a good job.
No, he does. And so let's go to that. Let's go to the losses. Anybody we think that they're absolutely going to lose to. A team you don't see them beating next year.
We're playing Georgia next year?
We're not.
Okay. Tennessee?
Yes.
I don't think we'll beat Tennessee.
Tennessee at Tennessee, which that's even bigger, right?
Yeah. I think after watching Milton play the couple of games that he did play and watching Heupel call the games, they attack you downfield. I mean, they really do. They attack you downfield, all over the field. And you told me something earlier today when we were off about their defense was like number 6 in SEC or something like that.
Scoring defense, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty impressive for a team that does what they do offensively.
Yeah, as many times as you get the ball playing them because they're down there scoring so many times, and you're always playing catch-up. And that's impressive.
I think that's the important part about playing Tennessee is you have to make your drives count.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You have to make your drives count because – they're going to go up and down the field.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
I mean, they can score 14, 21 points real quick.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's take that as a loss. So, right now, we're looking 5-1. And now we've got this group where we say, okay, these are the swing games, right? And basically, that's the entire SEC schedule.
Right.
You know what? Auburn, Arkansas, Bama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, LSU.
Yeah.
Obviously, our thinking because of last year's got us sort of on the downside of this. We're not very confident, which makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that those games are swing games. I'll tell you, is there a team in there that I think we can't beat? No. You mentioned Alabama, and this is pretty big because you just said you think they're going to lose 3 games next year, maybe more.
Well, I said that not on here, but you and I just talking. I think Alabama's going to lose a few games next year, but this is the kind of season where Saban goes and shuts people like me up. You know, last year he had Young and Anderson and some talented guys. He didn't have the receivers that he had in the past, but he had the running back, what's his name, Riggs or whatever?
Jamar Gibbs.
Gibbs coming from, but I mean, I think other teams are either catching up with Saban, and Saban loses an offensive coordinator. He lost 2 of them this year, right?
He lost both of his coordinators this year, yeah.
And that counts, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's...
Nah, they could get better at offensive coordinator, especially because, Bill O'Brien's not exactly a guy that you have a ton of confidence in. I will say this. With regards to that Bama team, I've said it before this past season. You watch Saban, and I think he's at a point in his career where he's not quite as intense. Now, mind you, his intensity level compared to all other football coaches used to be at the top, and nobody else was near him. Right. And I think his intensity level has come down. He's sort of appreciating the team, and he's kind of ramped it down just a little bit in his older age. Softened up. Now maybe with 2 coordinators gone, he's
got to get back up there. But like I said, I mean, I think Alabama's will be a little bit down.
You saw it in the penalties. That's how I see it. That team was penalized, which means they weren't very disciplined.
They lost a lot didn't they lose some players on the transfer portal also? They lost a few.
They've lost folks to the transfer portal. Obviously, they're losing their 2 best players to the NFL.
Yeah.
They're also losing a number of guys in the secondary.
Yeah.
So you look at it overall, and yeah, there's a ton of talent that's not going to be there in Alabama,
That's every year.
in Tuscaloosa, right? And that's every year.
Yeah.
But we've seen the backup quarterback. We saw Milroe, right? He made it a game with A&M.
Get you excited. Didn't get you. Yeah, he did. He made that a game.
He made that a game.
Yeah.
And so that tells you a little bit of something about where he's at. Now, maybe he gets beat out by
because that game was in
the freshman
Alabama
from
last year, right? Wasn't the A&M game in Alabama last year?
That was at home.
That was here?
I think it was at home.
We'll have to look it up.
We'll have to look it up. But the point being is that no, you're right. It was on the road.
Because the year before we won.
Yeah.
Right?
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I don't know why you doubted me.
Never know why I doubt you. Yeah. So, but you look at that team, and you're right. It looks like a team that may be coming back to the pack a little bit. The other thing that I notice is with a lot of these other teams, there's nothing really that impresses me, really. I mean, you look at Ole Miss, and we've talked about it with Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss, I mean, are you really scared of those guys?
They have a quarterback controvery right now.
Already?
Even before the season starts, Lane Kiffin goes ahead and signs Spencer Sanders.
Right.
Why? Does he not have faith in Jackson Dart?
He clearly does not.
Obviously.
So that's a team, and Lane, the longer he's been in places, the more turmoil and things that they have.
He'll say something stupid.
Yeah. So, he doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. They finished the year horribly after they beat us, by the way. You look at a team like Arkansas. Arkansas's got some things going on. Yeah, they got KJ Jefferson coming back, but they got to sort of get back into that physicality of a game that they were doing 2 years ago. They went away from it a little bit last year and sort of changed that identity.
Their defense was weak last year. The defense was very weak.
So
even when they got that Alabama transfer, the linebacker that was so good, he's going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah, he was a player.
Yeah,
so I guess that's my point. They sort of got to get back to what made them that turnaround team. Last year they took a step back. Can they do something to get back up there to try to compete for the West, right? Mm-hmm. Because KJ Jefferson's a big-time player. They're running back, big-time player. How about the pieces around them? Are they going to be able to get that offensive line to get physical, the play calling to get physical, that defense get physical, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure, but there's enough question marks there that tells you, yeah, we could beat them.
Well, who's the best team in the West? LSU?
LSU won it last year. And now second year coaching under Brian Kelly.
The LSU team that won it last year, that's probably the team we beat.
It's our best win for sure of the year.
It was not even the win. We dominated that game.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the game, go back and watch it, almost every phase of that game, we dominated.
And so then you get into the fact, okay, so LSU, are you worried about, well, okay, yeah, I mean, that's a team that won the SEC West last year and now they're going to be in the second year under a new head coach. Mm-hmm. They're going to be better offensively, you would think. A lot of pieces coming back. I mean, they lose Boutte, but he wasn't a big factor for that team last year, right? Yeah. Defensively, with Perkins getting more into the mix,
He's a
right?
game changer. Yeah.
That defense should be pretty darn good. And they have athletes on the perimeter.
Right.
I mean, that team to me is probably the team in the West that you say, okay, that's the team I need to watch out for.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Even in spite of the fact that we beat them pretty handily.
All right, so you got the Aggies at 5-1. Give me a team. Who are we talking about? Name one. Alabama, win.
Well,
6-1.
A team we haven't talked about is South Carolina.
We couldn't beat them last year, and they got better. They beat Tennessee. And who was the other team they beat that was impressive? Clemson.
Clemson.
That's pretty impressive.
And their guys are coming back.
Yeah. And they're buying in. They're starting to get recruits too. I don't know if he's starting to.
I am worried about the South Carolina game, and look, we dominated them for so long, and then obviously last year happened.
Yeah.
But not only did last year happen against Aggies. Last year, like you said, happened against everybody else they played.
Yeah.
Late in the season, specifically.
I mean, Tennessee, I don't think had Hooker in that game.
They didn't.
But still, we saw Milton play, and he played well. But Spencer Rattler, I mean, his game improved throughout the season. With that coach, they took more shots downfield. It seemed like he got his confidence back. And
he started to feel it a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's got tools. So if he's feeling it, he's a problem.
Yeah, he could be the best quarterback in.
He could be in the SEC.
That college football right up there with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. But that's why I think that there's so many games that have us on the bubble. We talked a little bit about Auburn. Look, Auburn is it's not a talented team. If the Aggies are well coached, they will beat Auburn because they've got much more talent. In spite of the fact that they have better coaching over here.
I mean, they had Cadillac Williams coaching or something like that last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For Auburn, and we lost that game. I mean,
that's a sign of how bad we were playing at the time.
And we looked like we didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Against Auburn. I mean, it looked ugly.
All right, so let's look. How good can this team be? How good can the record be?
That's all the teams we played this year. I only see one game as a loss, for sure. So that's 11-1. That's what I'm.
I'd go. I'd say the
ceiling.
The ceiling is maybe a 10-2 team.
Well, I mean, I'm saying 11-1. I think we can beat a South Carolina team. We have more depth, I think, than they do. I think they're better coached right now.
As a team, as a coaching staff, this team has not been consistent throughout a season enough for me to feel like they're going to run the table against all those questions.
I don't think so either. But you're asking who. I think
that's what my point is. My ceiling, the ceiling for me is 10-2. If they have a phenomenal year, they're still going to lose one of those games that and that toss up. But they can, as I said there, they can beat them all. But the lack of consistency at some point may come back and bite them, and they may lose one of those.
And after what I saw last year, I don't have a lot of faith in what Jimbo and them are doing. So that's why I'm saying 6-6 is way too low. Yeah. I mean, if they're 6-6, he needs to go.
They're 6-6. People should be considering the firing. How they
blow it up and figure
money.
out. Yeah, but I mean, realistically, 7-5, 8-4, because I think they're going to screw up some stuff coaching wise.
Yeah. All right, so how about this? Where do they end up in the West?
Well, you say LSU, Arkansas, it's Alabama. I mean, they could finish anywhere. I don't see them finishing as bad as Auburn or Mississippi State. So and Auburn might beat us, but everybody else will beat Auburn. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of what happened last year. So what's that? Fourth, third?
I could see it anywhere between second and fourth. Yeah. You could end up anywhere in that mix.
Yeah.
And
we'll win some games that we're not favored in, like Alabama game. I think we'll beat Alabama. I really do, just because I think Alabama's going to be in the same situation we're in. I think
we were last in the SEC West last year, by the way.
It's impressive. Need to move these. Play bandy every year.
I don't think so.
Got to play bandy every year.
I don't think so. All right, so yeah, they've got third or fourth. Could they get to second? I think so. But that's just pumping sunshine, right? I mean, after this year, there's a lot that has to happen for them to get there, and I don't know that we've done that. Especially, I like to change. I do like to change offensively in the sense that I think it's going to be better. But defensively, we haven't done anything to get better.
Well, if we put the numbers together, the numbers are what they are from last year.
Yeah.
We averaged 22, 23 points a game, something like that.
22, yeah. Close, 21.
Our defense gave up how much? 20. 23?
Let's see. Defensive ranks, 21.2 is what they gave up.
21.2.
Yep.
All right, so let's say our offense scored
about 22 points.
Let's say our offense, just doing numbers-wise, let's say we go out there and we average 34 points a game. Our defense is giving up 21
All right, so
that's 13.
Where does the offense rank in the SEC next year? And just to give you an idea, last year we were 13th. The only team we were better than was Kentucky.
That's weird.
Kentucky. That means that Auburn without a quarterback. Vanderbilt. Florida, as bad as they were all better than us, right? So we were 13th in the SEC in scoring last year. Where does that offense rank?
Well, we'll get in the top 10.
Okay. I feel pretty comfortable about the top 10.
Yeah, I feel good.
Can you get into the top 6?
No.
Because look, that probably means you're scoring 32 to 33 points a game.
Yeah, no. I mean, no, you got to score. Well, the top 3 we said scored 40-something. That's Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And that's Georgia after what we saw.
Well, you just said Alabama's not going to be any good.
We're still going to score points. They're just going to give up a lot more.
Okay.
Alabama, let's see. You got who are the other offensive teams in the South Carolina's going to score more points? They're going to have a better offense. Lane Kiffin's always seemed to hit and miss. You know what I'm saying?
But they scored last year.
They scored. LSU, they're going to move the ball. I mean, whose offense do you have more faith in? Do you have more faith in the A&M offense you didn't see nothing from last year, or teams like LSU that you saw stuff in?
I have a feeling that, and I said, can they get into the top 6? I'm thinking right in that number.
Yeah, because we're going to be better, I think, than Kentucky, Vandy, Missouri. Who's another team? Auburn. Mississippi State probably this year is going to take a fall back. So there's 14 teams. That's
Florida.
5. Florida, that's 6. So we're in the top 8 right now. So, I mean, you got...
Yeah, I really do. I think, and I do believe that they score right around 32 points a game. It could be 32, 33, right in that number. I think that probably gets you right at around 6. You're talking about the realm of 6th, 7th in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I mean, do you expect more than that based off of last year's production? And I don't know that you do, right?
Well, if you have a number 6 or 7 offense and a number 2 or 3 defense in the SEC, what does that equate to? 5th place out of all 14 teams?
All right. So where do you think that this defense is going to rank? Last year they were 4th in the SEC in scoring. But mind you, they had the worst run defense in the SEC.
Yeah, that's the thing. Other teams didn't have to score against us. They just had a...
And the offense wasn't doing anything. So there was no pressure on offenses on the other side of that.
But yeah, I mean, but if you do the numbers, if we do a 6th or 7th ranked offense and a 3rd ranked defense, I mean, our defense, I think we have enough talent too. If the linebacker play comes in, if Edge Cooper stays and does what I think he can do, and our secondary comes in and Durkin gets his head out of his ass, we can be a top-ranked defense. And if we do that, what we did years ago with Mond, where we just don't turn the ball over, a ball-controlled offense, we make our plays.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying, make the plays.
I don't think that we
should have done that last year.
I don't think we can do that because Durkin's going to do what he does. And what does that mean?
Blitz.
He's going to three-man fronts and do all those types of things, and we're still going to struggle against the run because of his system, right? And we might be better than last year because we've got a little bit more experienced players, guys that have been on the field a little bit more, and hopefully a little bit healthier. But he's still going to do the stupid crap that gave App State the opportunity to beat us. He will.
Opportunity, they did beat us.
Yeah. And so, last year team scored 21.2 against us, and we were number 4 in the SEC. I think that number ends up going up. I think that number goes up to somewhere in the 25, 26 range. And you know where that would have landed you last year in the SEC?
Where?
9th. 9th.
I think we're scoring more points. We're giving up that. I think I'll take giving up a few more points. We got lucky on a lot of plays last year. There was a couple plays that were right at the goal line that went the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, we took 2 or 3 touchdowns away, which, I mean, I'm going to give credit to
Arkansas, we took one all the way back.
That's what I'm saying.
We
have been not break defense, and we shouldn't have been. We should have been an aggressive defense and dominated games.
So that'll be the interesting part. And we're going to talk a little bit more later about what does this defense have to do to be actually good. But I don't have faith that they are going to change that much from last year to the point where they still don't struggle against the run at times. And I think with our offense being better, teams are actually going to attack us more, meaning our defense is going to go the other way.
So you're sticking at 8-4, huh?
I'm going to stick to 8-4 right now.
And you're saying we're winning 4 out of conference games, so we're going 4-4 in conference.
Basically, that's what I'm saying.
So we're beating Tennessee and South Carolina?
And, look, we'll learn a lot more in the spring.
Yeah, we will.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I'm not going to
get too early.
It's way too early. I'm not going to get nearly as pumped up as I was last year. Yeah. After what they did to me last year, I'm going to stay right around here.
Offensive MVP for this team next year. What do you think? You like somebody.
I like Moose. I told you, if Moose is coming back and if he wants to wear his sleeves, wear the sleeves. I don't care. But give him the ball.
I think it's Connor. Because I think we've got weapons everywhere, but they're all they should all be getting involved, right? And when that's the case, that means the quarterback's the guy.
Gotcha.
Right? And so I'm going to go with Connor, and that's sort of a bailout because it's an easy choice.
It is an easy choice, but at the same time, it's the right one because Connor, if he's having a good season, that means the offensive line's probably having a good season.
It's also true.
That means that a lot of things are going right for us. I mean,
how about defensive MVP? Who you got there?
Jackson.
Yeah.
Give me the big man in the middle. Give me a 4-man front, 5-man front. I don't care. Let him get pressure. He's a game changer. That guy, I mean, I watch him. If NFL scouts aren't just watching this guy, his motor, what he's doing, and don't think he can play at the next level, then they're crazy.
He transformed this team when he came back.
Yeah.
We were much better the day he got back on the field.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's probably Jackson. Just to give a couple of other names, Chappelle.
Yep.
Is a guy that I think was, if he wasn't the MVP last year for this defense, he was number 2.
Yep.
With Antonio Johnson. And so I think that dude is probably still going to be one of those types of guys. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a huge performance from a guy like Bryce Anderson. I'm not going to stick him in the MVP conversation yet because he hasn't shown it. He hasn't done it consistently. But a guy that you may think about, and, especially because of the fact that, and we'll talk a little bit more about what this defense needs to be great, but Fidel Diggs. Fidel Diggs as a
he got hurt last year.
Pass rusher, if he can come in and be that guy, he's got an opportunity to be the defensive MVP too.
What about Edge Cooper?
I love Edge Cooper.
I do too. Why can't he be a 3-down linebacker?
I think he should be. I just don't like, once again, I hate our scheme. I hate our linebackers coach is gone, so I don't know who's going to take that over. But I think Edge Cooper has got all the tools to be one of the best linebackers in the SEC. He can go sideline to sideline. He can cover.
Yeah.
He can blitz.
He's our best coverage guy. I thought by far linebacker wise.
Yeah. Oh, not even close, right?
Yeah.
Hell, he was a better coverage guy than most of our secondary guys,
he
right?
was.
And so I'm a big fan of the dude, but they have to put him in a position to be successful, and they haven't so far.
And what about Walter Nolan? What are you expecting from him?
I expect a big year out of Walter Nolan. I do. I expect a big year. Now, it may be at Tennessee, but I expect a big year from him.
What?
Just kidding. All right. Questions from the tailgate brought to you by David Coffin, PLLC, tax controversy and litigation lawyers. Smart solutions for federal tax issues. Experience, respected representation for taxpayers. Over 20 years of experience in tax controversy with offices located in Southlake. And now opening in Bryan College Station. Call 817-251-7049. Ask Eric or Chris to put you through to David or Alejo, and we'll get you going. All right.
Go ahead.
Question number 1.
Do it.
Anyone you're worried about losing to the transfer portal in May?
The Johnson brothers are the ones that popped into my head first, just because I don't know if Max wants to sit back and be second fiddle. He's getting older. He wants to get some playing time, and his brother. I'm not sure where his brother's at on the depth chart.
Right, and here's the other thing and why it's a worry for me is because of the fact that he is our depth at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so we lose him. All of a sudden, we're back to a freshman as the backup. A freshman, we don't, know what he's going to be able to do. Different things like that. Now, hopefully, Connor's healthy throughout the year, and that's never an issue. Obviously, we don't expect Max Johnson to overtake Connor, but all of a sudden, when your depth becomes a problem, you have a potential problem.
Saw the San Francisco 49ers the other day.
Well, you did.
Couldn't play football because they didn't have a quarterback.
And you're right. Look, if he leaves, the brother, is always in the mix, right? You just never know. I'll give you another couple. Aggie on the offensive line. Maybe the guy that loses out the center battle, Wyckoff.
Well, I think if you lose Aggie, I think you won't lose the center too, because I think Aggie, honestly, I was annoyed watching him play last year.
Yeah,
he seems disinterested.
I just feel like there's too many of those guys at guard that have passed him up since the beginning of last year.
Right.
And look, and he's a big physical kid, so he can go play somewhere. How about some rumors about maybe Anais and Preston transferring?
What?
Anais?
Yeah, I heard something. Preston, I could see. I mean, God, he's been here for years. I thought he'd get on the field more last year. It seems like we say it every year, get on the field. Anais, there's so many things up in the air.
Both of those guys, by the way, very important. Not only, I mean, Anais obviously is a starter for this offense, and they are both Aggies, big time Aggies. You know, they've been here. Anais, obviously huge if he comes back. But if both of those guys decide to leave, depth again becomes an issue at the wide receiver spot.
Yep.
And then one I just teased a little while ago, some rumors out of Tennessee. Walter Nolan's putting up cryptic messages on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And some folks at Tennessee think that means he may be transferring home.
That would suck.
I don't expect Walter Nolan to go anywhere, by the way. I do not expect Walter Nolan to go anywhere. I expect him to be here. He's a guy that was a central part of this defense as the year went on.
Right.
There's no reason for him to go anywhere because he's going to get all the recognition he needs here. So I don't expect that. Biggest factor for this defense to be top 5 in the SEC. Top 5 in the SEC.
Durkin. It's all he needs to. We just talked about it earlier. 3-man fronts. You can't do 3-man fronts. You got to learn from your mistakes. And last year he didn't learn from them. He kept doing the same damn thing and drove us nuts every week. What are you doing?
100%.
And we said it before the season started last year. All he has to do is not screw this up. He has so much talent on that defense side of the ball, and he screwed it up. And look what happened. We lost games. Players transferred out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's 100% Durkin. It's all Durkin, 100% Durkin. The scheme, look, this defense, and with the offense being better, this defense will have an opportunity they should be aggressive, right? Mm-hmm. You should be playing with those big-time recruits up front. Heck, have 5 of them out there. Right. Let the damn secondary get up into the receivers and man up and go put pressure on those quarterbacks. Make teams do something outside of their comfort zone, right? Don't allow them to hand it off and get 4 yards. Hand it off 4 yards, And to me, that's as simple as it gets.
Well, teams make mistakes when you get pressure on them.
Yeah.
They don't make mistakes when you sit back and let them dictate the game, when they do what they want to do. And that's what we let them do last year.
It's 100% on him because the talent's there. Yeah. Secondary-wise, everybody's talked about depth, but don't get me wrong. Look, Chappelle we talked about. Grimes coming in from North Carolina is another good corner.
Right.
Harmon, who if he can stay healthy, is a guy that we believe we believe in and can get some reps in there. But then the safeties, for sure. You're talking about Damani coming back. You're talking about Bryce Anderson, Gilbert, Matthews, Kerr, all guys that got a ton of experience last year.
Edge Cooper at the linebacker.
And all those guys can fly around and go make plays.
And you pull one of those guys up to play linebacker if you have to. If you have that much talent.
Like Damani, for example.
Yeah, put your best players on the field. All right. Don't make excuses. Oh, I don't have another linebacker.
So here it is, DJ Durkin. It's up to you.
Yeah.
This defense is going to be top 5 in the SEC, which may lead to a 10-win season, by the way. If they are top 5, I'm talking 10-win season.
Maybe 11.
DJ Durkin, it's on you.
But we're not shooting that.
Gig 'em Aggies, AP, C Money.
There you go.
Signing out from the tailgate.
Adios.